Alright, lads and lasses, and g'day, mates. It's another episode of the Tune Under podcast, the single best Newcastle United dedicated podcast in the lower 50% of the entire planet Earth. And if you don't believe us, go and do your research and then let us see it because we've done nout. All right, champion. So we're here to talk about the absolute shithouse defeat to Leicester. It was 4-0 down at the King Power Stadium. I've got Mark here in Brizzy. How are you going, Mark?
Yeah, not too bad. How's things?
Well, it could have been better.
Could have been better.
Wasn't the best result in the world, and it didn't help it kicked off at midnight either.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was
Bit of sleep deprivation and a shit result never go down well.
No, not a very good start of the week, was it?
No.
So it's just Mark and I today to go through this particular god-awful match, and we'll get into that straight after this. All right, come on, let's get on with this bloody 4-0 defeat. I'm going to start with the teams. So Newcastle first, it was Dubravka, Manquillo, Shaw, Lascelles, Lewis, who was subbed for Murphy on 62. It was Shelby, who was subbed for Richie on 85. Richie's back now. Willock, Almiron, subbed for Fraser on 62. Fraser's also back now. Joe Linton, Alan St. Maximin, and Wilson. And for Leicester, it was Schmeichel, God, I'm going to do this again, aren't I? Castagni, I can't pronounce any of these names. Evans, subbed for Sumo on 6 with an injury. Soyuncu, Thomas, Tealsman, Dewsbury Hall, Ndidi, Madison, subbed for McIntyre on 88. Barnes subbed for Albrighton on 71, and Daka. So down to the King Power. We were all in pretty good spirits after that 1-0 victory against Burnley. And it did not go exactly according to plan. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go just through some of the main events of the first half, and I'll bring in Mark to have some comments as we go along. So pretty much for the first 11 minutes, it was mostly Newcastle, really. There was a Miggy strike against the side of the net on the 4th minute, and that was just after Johnny Evans had pulled up with a hammy snap. And I must admit, I was thinking, that's one of their leaders. That's one of their best defenders. 4 minutes in, he's gone off. Champion. You know, that's they've already got injuries, they've already got illnesses. This is perfect start for us, really. 7 minutes, Wilson had a good shot, a goal, which went out for a corner. Shaw headed towards the goal, resulting in another corner. But Leicester went up the field straight after that, and it kind of fizzled out. But mainly at this point, it was pretty much quite comfortable. 10 minutes in, lovely pressure from Miggy, chases down Schmeichel, who was taking his time to get to the ball to kick it, and Schmeichel kind of sliced it out to touch. And then on 11 minutes, Maxi draws a yellow card from Castagni for a tug back. Nothing came with a free kick. But that was the first 10 or 11 minutes, and it was pretty much all right, pretty good start for the away team. On the 30 minutes, Leicester got their first corner, which was cleared easily. And they had a bit of possession from that resulting corner for a little while. And there was a lot of moves down the left wing by the two, and weren't really getting anywhere with it, weren't really challenging. There was a lot of endeavour, but nothing really in the sense of quality coming into the box at the end of it. So it was kind of huffing and puffing, but not really getting anywhere. On 23 minutes, Maxi took a running shot next to the box, came loose to Joe Linton, whose first touch was, surprise, god-awful. He gets bundled off the ball, kind of by 3 people, if I remember right. Gets nothing off the ref for that. And Leicester kind of run all the way up to the other end of the pitch, where Lewis bundles over one of their players, and of course they get a free kick at the edge of the box. And Madison, who had a great game, you have to say, took the free kick, and it was nicely cleared by Willock in front of the goal. And eventually, Ndidi takes a shot, and it goes right across the bow. Probably wasn't going in anyway. 28 minutes, Willock gives away a free kick in the middle of our half. Madison takes like a short free kick and it gets nowhere. But this was kind of the story of the game. Lots of free kicks and lots of dangerous positions. It was always more or less Madison taking the free kick, and he's got a kind of kick on him. Now, one thing I did notice at this time was that the away fans were in cracking voice. Kind of hadn't stopped singing the whole time. And this is round about the 20th minute, like I say. So not really much to report. Back and forwards, a bit of pressure, but the away fans were going absolutely mental. It was class. 30 minutes, Big Joe wins a free kick. All the away fans give a good ironic cheer because it's mainly been going Leicester's way to this point. And, Shelby overhits it, goes over the top of the bar. Hasn't really done much by this point. And yeah, eventually it goes to a corner, that fizzles out and nothing comes out either. 33 minutes, probably the best move by Newcastle up to this point. There's like a 1-2 between Big Joe and Alan St. Maximan, who does that lovely little left foot dink that he likes to do towards the byline. And he usually kind of gets a cross in from the byline into the centre of the box. But he just overran that one. Unfortunately, the ball went out. But it was a good effort by Big Joe there. And then this is where I'm going to bring you in for the first time, Mark. On 37 minutes, we have the penalty decisions, inverted quotes. So basically, Lascelles is adjudged to have brought down Madison. It all starts from Dubravka trying to play it out from the back. Probably wasn't a good idea because there was already quite a lot of Leicester players in our kind of half anyway. It's not like the whole half was basically empty. So it was always a bit of a risky technique anyway. I don't know if they've been practicing that on the training ground or what, but ball comes to Shelvey. So Shelvey gets under pressure, passes it back to Lascelles. It doesn't really reach Lascelles. Madison comes at the ball. Lascelles kind of looks like he goes to put his foot in the way, but he's not really actually in the way of Madison as such. And if you look at the replay, Madison's kind of already diving as it kind of gets anywhere near Lascelles' leg anyway. The referee doesn't really hesitate much, does he? He basically gives that penalty almost straight away. It apparently went to VAR, but like it was decided that it was fine within the space of 10 seconds. I mean, there was nothing like that penalty that we had recently where they spent 3 minutes looking at what was blatantly a penalty. This one, it was kind of like just waved away as, yeah, definitely a penalty. But it didn't help us out at all. And Tillman takes the penalty. Leicester take the lead. And you'd have to say by that point, I don't think they really deserved it by this point. There was a lot of to and fro and a lot of kind of endeavour by both sides. It was very an even game. But we find ourselves down 1-0 after 37 minutes. How did you see that incident, Mark? Did you see that as a penalty?
It's one of those where you're going to be pretty annoyed that it was given. I mean, it definitely adds a little bit of credence to the tinfoil hat brigade that we see on social media. That there's conspiracies that the Premier League want us to go down. You know, I mean, as you said, given how long it took for the Norwich penalty that we were given, it was like they were looking for any way that they didn't have to give it. But this one literally straight through. I mean, I can understand the ref giving it straight away because at full speed, if you watch it back, Lascelles has got his leg out, the player goes over it, full speed, it looks, bang on, he's brought him down. You look at it on VAR though, and you look at it on the replays, and it's literally like there's no contact. The leg's there, yes, but the player initializes contact and then goes out, like literally he's going down before he even gets near the leg. So in all honesty, it's probably something that probably shouldn't be given. My biggest issue with that though is the playing it out from the back. It's obviously something that Howe wants to do. And I'm fully behind that as a way of playing and you know, playing the ball out, creating pressure sort of from the back. And they did a lot of that where they were passing the ball around in their own half, trying to keep possession, waiting for an opportunity. There was issues where they were passing the ball and doing Shelvey Hollywood passes up the field and losing the ball again. But that's another story. But I think it's that they're not used to doing it. They've been told that they should be doing it. And so they're doing it even though they really shouldn't be at that particular moment. It doesn't help that Shelvey had the touch of a concrete elephant for that particular ball out either. But then, you know, he's passed it back to Lascelles, who's in trouble as well. Dubravka shouldn't have passed it to Shelvey in the first place because he was like not open. He had players around him. Yeah. And it was just this sort of, you know, sort of perfect storm of mistakes by individual players that all led up to that opportunity. And then, you know, when you present players with a leg out, then most of them are going to take it these days. And, you know, we all thought VAR was supposed to be the holy grail of let's make the decisions the right decision. But unfortunately, they didn't seem to even really pay much attention to it. So, yeah, frustrating.
Yeah, no, it's very annoying. You do, like as you say, we kind of all want VAR. If we're going to have VAR, it needs to do the job it's been prescribed to do, and it just sometimes, like this incident, for example, sometimes seems like it's not there to do the job that we all thought it was there to do.
If you have a look through, there's a lot of people complaining that there was a lot of decisions with VAR went the way of the big six. Still kind of seemingly the decisions are favoring the big clubs, even when it's very dodgy VAR calls. So, you know, it was brought in to eliminate those really bad mistakes and clearly incorrect decisions, but it doesn't seem to really be implemented that way anymore. It seems to be another excuse to make the decisions that they want as opposed to the decisions that are there. Maybe it is. Maybe we are just complete conspiracy nuts, and I'll go and get my alfoil out in a minute.
Oh no, it's the world that's wrong. It's not me and you, mate. It's not me and you. It says something when the two commentators on the game also agreed that wasn't in any way a penalty, and even they were saying that they were surprised that it wasn't reviewed properly or more extensively by VAR. And these are decisions, these are moments that change the game. So up to that point, we were very much in that game, and you could argue that it was the difference between the two sides, and it was right. It was 37 minutes, so it's quite close to half time. It's usually a really bad time to give away a goal. The team talk that Eddie Howe probably was rehearsing, it's kind of had to change because of the fact that we've ended up conceding a goal. And we need to rely on the fourth officials and the VAR officials to do better, really. mean, do we have to order a lock stock of tinfoil hats, or is it actually the case that VAR is a pile of crap?
I think VAR is a good idea implemented very badly, and I've thought that for a while.
So the implementation needs to be fixed. Yeah, I would agree. All right, so 37 minutes, we're now down 1-0, just where we didn't want to be. But we'll get back on the ball straight away. We're right at the other end of the pitch, and Al Maximan, who didn't stop running all day, he's doing his level best, to do something up the top of the pitch to try and get us back on level terms. Pretty much got nowhere. It was kind of the story of his day, actually. He did a lot of huffing and puffing, and at times he had shots at goal, but most of the time he kind of was crowded out. When he gets crowded out by players, he's very easily marked out of the game.
To be honest with you, I thought one of the things that Leicester did really well against him was they didn't fall for his circus tricks. He was doing his little step overs and jinks and trying to sort of get them to go one way, and the Leicester player literally that just stood there and went, well, do something. And it was so obvious that was the game plan. Was like, look, we're going to make you do something. We're not going to give you an easy out. And he kind of did his little parlor tricks and then went, oh, it hasn't worked. And you could see he was just like, I don't know what to do now. And then he's like ended up turning around and passing it backwards to someone or losing the ball because he decided to have a go anyway. So I thought Leicester did a really good job defensively on him. My worry is that now sets a precedent for him that if he's not going to get the first bite off the defender, then, what happens? And I worry that other clubs are going to look at that and go, yeah, we're just going to stand him up and like make him do something from now on. Yeah. So he needs support. He needs support, basically. But
yeah, well, that's exactly right. He does seem to be trying to do it all on his own, and he needs options. Like any player who's doing something like that, who's moving up the top of the pitch, needs to have options. He has to have an out. He has to be able to see them first of all. But I agree. He it's not for the first time. He's been quite comfortably marked out of a game. Like I said, he wasn't completely marked out this game. There has been worse games this season where he just basically didn't out for the whole 90 minutes, you'd think. He did do a few decent things this game, but yeah, he was being pretty ineffectual. And Leicester were doing a good job, as you say. Even though we had all that pressure after the goal, pretty much got to half time without much of a way of an incident. Leicester seemed to be just quite happy to see the clock out and get to half time and have the halftime chat. So going into halftime, the stats were basically, obviously we're down 1-0. 3 goal attempts to 4 in our favour, but 2-0 in Leicester's favour on target. It was 56% to 44% possession in Leicester's favour. 2 to 4 corners, 4 to 7 fouls, and 1 yellow card each. And interesting stuff from the commentator, actually, Wilson only had 8 touches of the ball that entire first half, and that just goes some way of to explain just lots of endeavour down the wings, but really nothing was coming into the middle that was giving Wilson a chance to make anything happen. So second half then, pretty quiet really. 47 minutes, Miggy went down for a free kick, one of those typical Miggy tumbles that he does, and he kind of rolls around for a bit and just pops up and he's like, oh, I'm all right.
With his broken nose and nothing's wrong with him.
There's no wrong with him. He does it all the time. Very Latin of him, Latin America of him. So a bit of a shit free kick, ends up in the corner by St. Maximin, comes to Nout, and eventually ends up with Barnes taking a shot from range that's wide of our goal. But it was very much just end to end at this point, and it's just at the start of the second half. And even around 53 minutes, I made a note here that Leicester were noticeably up in the tempo. They were doing some really impressive pressing off the ball, especially given that it's a home team. The 1-0 up, don't really have to do all this effort, and they've just beat the Europe and got a lot of injuries and illnesses, and they did seem to be very determined to give us absolutely no time on the ball whatsoever. And yeah, unfortunately, goal on 57 minutes from Daka. So Madison had a lovely little dink, went over the back line to Barnes. He was essentially level with Manquillo at this point. If you watch the replay, you'll see that as the ball's kind of dinked over, Manquillo steps up thinking that he's being clever to spring the offside trap. But Barnes just keeps on running. He's still onside, so he's in absolute acres here. He squares the ball to Daka, who's completely unmarked at this point. Dubravka's in absolutely nowhere to be seen. And he taps the ball in the empty net. So 2-0. Any thoughts on that goal, Mark?
Oh, beautiful through ball. Absolutely gorgeous build-up play from Leicester. As you said, they were pressing really well by that point, and they closed us down quite a lot. Won the ball back in some dangerous positions, and pressure was starting to mount. But yeah, that ball just cut us open. The thing that kind of made me laugh was Lascelles, who clearly doesn't understand the offside rule properly, who had his hand up wanting the player to be offside that put it in the back of the net when he was actually behind the ball for the play. So yeah, he kind of maybe needs to just learn to defend rather than try to play the offside trap that he doesn't understand.
It's like a lot of defenders, I think, they stick the hand up.
Hope for the best.
Just in case. Yeah, you never know, do you? I mean, the way the decisions go sometimes, you might as well fling your mitt in the air. It doesn't cost you enough, does it? And you might get lucky, but we didn't. So 2-0 down. Fans are still going absolutely mental. They were fans. I don't know if you
Fans
noticed,
were insane.
They were just like chanting away like as if we were winning 2-0. It was absolutely brilliant. 59 minutes, you see Willock getting noticeably a bit annoyed, probably from that second goal. He takes a wild lash at the goal. It just sails over the top of the bar. He doesn't look very happy at all. 61 will make our first changes. So Fraser and Murphy come on for Miggy and Lewis. So I guess like for like, would you say? Fresh legs?
Yeah, kind of. The commentators were seeming to suggest we were pretty much going back to like a back five or a back three with wing backs and sort of more what we did against Burnley. Brentford. And maybe that was Howe's thinking. We scored 3 goals in that game. Let's get at them. We've got nothing to lose. But we also conceded 3 goals in that game, so probably not the best idea for doing that. But we did certainly create more. It was evident for me how much of a difference Fraser makes in terms of his quality for his deliveries. He seems to be the only person in that squad who can actually take a good free kick or deliver a good cross. And that to me is something that really stood out. Whenever you saw Maddison step over the ball, when Willock pushed him over in the first half on the edge of the box, and Maddison steps up, and you're just thinking, oh yeah, this is really dangerous. It's right in his range, and you kind of worried that he's got that quality and he can actually do some damage to us. You never feel that with Newcastle. You never feel like Shelby's going to put that killer ball in. It's just like, please just try and find someone's head or something. He just doesn't have that lethal kind of crossing ability where I think Fraser does. So if we can get his fitness up and he can stay fit, then I think he's a much better option in terms of that dead ball delivery, we're just crying out for that set piece. I mean, we had like loads of corners in the last few games, and we've not really created any clear-cut chances from them. And we've got some players like Lascelles and Fernandez, if he ever gets back in the squad, who can benefit from that. But I thought Lewis played pretty well. I thought Murphy did okay when he came on. But Fraser, for me, was a really good opportunity for him to sort of show exactly what he offers the team, and I think he did that.
Yeah, I mean, Shelby has been known to do some decent passes. He loves the long raking cross from, switch from side to side. But I think more than not, he tries to do the Hollywood, as you say. He tries to do the spectacular. When often there can be an easier out for him. There's, I don't know how many times it happens, but and perhaps it's easier for us to say as we kind of watch the TV as opposed to being in a moment on the pitch. But it does seem like Shelby tries the more difficult option when there could be an easier one available. And I do like Fraser. I mean, I remember when he was playing for Bournemouth, and I used to think he was a terrific player. Injuries haven't helped very much, but I think a fit Fraser is a real positive for our team. And I've said it before on the pod that he is basically about the only guy that we can kind of get a reliable corner out of him. Some players can do it every now and again, but Fraser seems to do it much more consistently.
Yeah.
And once you get the consistency, and once the players know that they can expect a cross if it's Fraser on the ball, then things might happen, But otherwise, if it's, say, Richie or even Shelby or someone on the other wing, you never really know what you're going to get. Half the time, it just bounces off the first bloke in front of them.
Yeah, they make runs, but then the ball doesn't get there, or they don't make the run, but then the ball does actually make it there. It's just getting that consistency up so that they can know, they know where they need to be running, because they know that they're going to get that sort of accurate pass or accurate corner. And it makes it a lot easier to do that. I mean, Shelby, as you said, he's capable, but it's just not consistent enough. And I think consistency is a big thing. I was just frustrated with him in that game, just because there were so many opportunities where we were passing the ball around in defense and in our own half, keeping possession, and then it would get to either Shelby or Shah, and they would just try this long ball over the top, and you just lose possession. You go, well, you just passed it around for a minute at the back to hold on to possession, and then you've just given it away. Like, what was the point?
Oh yeah,
yeah. But having said that, I will kind of cover that and say, I don't know what he was seeing close by or up the field. And there's a very good chance, the way Leicester were crowding him out in midfield, that there was just nothing on for him. So, rather than pass the ball back, he was at least trying to make something work going forward. So hold my hands up, say, look, he's probably tried something that he thought was on. But yeah, it was just a bit frustrating that, again, kind of almost reverted to type in this game after some really good performances under Howe since Howe's arrival. That Shelby was back to his almost kind of giving the ball away or sort of, those Hollywood passes to nobody in particular.
All right, let's move on. So that was the subs happened on the 61st minute. And, from that point for a few minutes, we had a pretty good bit of possession, actually. But, again, without really going anywhere with it, it looked to me like Leicester were quite happy just to, sit back a little bit and say, all right, we're going to let you just run yourselves into the ground for a little bit. We've already seen to this point that you've got no going forward. So, just, fill your boots, lads. Just, run upwards, downwards, backwards, sideways, do what you want, because you're not going anywhere. And we'll just have a little rest here. Thank you very much. And on 69 minutes, Shelby had that power driver where he absolutely blammoed it from just outside the area, if I'm not mistaken, and it hits Ndidi. And it had a lot of stink on it, because it loops from off Ndidi kind of out for a corner, but that ball probably could have went anywhere, really. It just wasn't our day, unfortunately. Another day that might have spun in. 74 minutes, Murphy wins a corner down the right, and Lascelles gives away a free kick from a shove. Now the referee sees the shove, he goes, oh, that's definitely a free kick to Leicester. And then if you watch the replay, it's a bloody Leicester player who pushes another Leicester player, who bundles into Lascelles, and Lascelles goes forward and bundles into this other player, and then Leicester get the free kick. It was just like the story of our day, wasn't it? Like the refs just did not want to know about us. 77 minutes was actually the first corner of the second half for Leicester. So there you go. There's a little stat for you. On the 78th minute, actually was our closest chance. It was a beautiful, almost so close. It was a beautiful back pass by Cassani. And, he didn't even look. It was brilliant. He kind of just did that sort of, I'm looking down at my feet, but I'm going to kick it out over my left-hand side. And he did it. And it went sailing past Schmeichel. And I'm thinking, oh, what a brilliant shot this is. But Schmeichel, unfortunately, got his legs pumping. Got in front of, just alongside the ball, and used his kind of, I think it was his trailing leg that he actually managed to kind of scoop it away from the line. But that was a brilliant effort, wasn't it? That was almost 2-1 for us.
Yeah, we need a couple of those to go in for us, really.
Yeah, maybe Cassania needs to try a bit harder next time then. Unfortunately, though, on the 81 minutes, so that was 78, and on 81, Tielemans makes it 3-0. So there was good work by Madison again. He basically ran the show all day in the middle. He was brilliant, I thought, apart from the dive Tin Hat. So it was actually like a really lazy steal, kind of on the halfway line, down our right wing. and they just run forward with the ball, basically. So they nick the ball, run down the line, comes to Madison, who fed a lovely pass to Thielman, and he kind of like lashes it into the roof of the net. It was actually a really nice goal, but it was just lazy on the halfway line, just a kind of one of those nothing kind of steals of the ball. How did you see that goal?
Yeah, it's just that's something out of nothing. It's just players being a bit sloppy on the ball, probably looking to spend the ball before they've actually got it, and just taken off us. And good goal, but just sloppy play in the middle of the park, and that to me was one of the themes of the day. I'll touch on that at the end.
Perhaps it was an example of, as I mentioned earlier, there the pressing, or rather the sitting back of Leicester and letting us kind of run ourselves into the ground. Maybe we were just getting a bit knackered by that point,
Yeah.
and things like easy steals are kind of a consequence of all the hard effort. So that was 81 minutes, 3-0. Away fans going absolutely mental, singing their hearts out. I mean, it was class. The away fans were brilliant. Still singing away. Pretty quiet. King Power. It's probably not that unusual, frankly. Gets to 84 minutes. Nice bit of work by Maxi. Gets into the box, skins a bunch of players. I think he's surrounded by 3 players or something. Skins them all, and he's just about to take a kick. He sees winding up his legs like, I'm gonna kick it, and he sort of swings, and then this other little foot just pops in and kicks it off his way. And Maxi's like, "What just happened? What happened here? I was just about to kick that." And he's
Did
like,
his little pirouette on the build up as well.
yeah. But
no, it was a great build up.
His face afterwards was a picture. He's like, "Oh, how am I? What am I going to do here?" Because he did take on like 4 or 5 people or something.
Yeah.
It was a nice little move, but it was hilarious. That little foot just popped into the corner of the camera. Paul just gets nicked off his toes. Oh, hell. And unfortunately, kind of straight afterwards, really, the 85th minute, it's another Madison goal. It's a Madison goal. Big Joe was robbed kind of center of the pitch, I think, just in front of the box, if I'm not mistaken. He tries to do too much. He gets crowded out of the ball. It comes to Madison via a 1-2 with Daka, and he takes a lovely shot, rifles it into the far end of the goal, if I'm not mistaken. And to be honest, as much as you can say, Tin Hat, that it was definitely a dive, which it was, take Tin Hat off. He had a good game, didn't he, Madison?
Oh, he was brilliant. He was all over
good.
the place. He ran their midfield for them. I think, touching on my issue of giving the ball away too easily, I think if you look at the difference between what Madison did for Leicester and what Willock did for us, who I thought was really disappointing, gave the ball away every time he pretty much got it. His passing was atrocious. I think the stats in the first half were like we were 74% pass completion accuracy or something. And I was like thinking to myself then when I saw that, I was like, yeah, and I bet Willock's probably like a good portion of those that we missed because he just gave the ball away needlessly all the time. And I don't see him as that deep lying midfield role. He just doesn't seem to have the skill on the ball. Whether or not it's a confidence thing, I don't know. But you look at the difference between how he played and how Madison played for Leicester, and he was all over the park. He did everything for them. So yeah, man of the match for me, definitely for Leicester was Madison.
Yeah, I'll ask you for man of the match soon, and obviously we have to stick to a tradition, which means you're not allowed to pick anybody from Leicester. You have to pick Newcastle. Newcastle man of the match.
Tough call.
Yeah, hey, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. So that was 85 minutes, 4-0. Finally get to hear the home fans make a bit of a noise. I think we've got them clappers, haven't it, at King Power? Those bloody annoying clapper things. Should be relegated just for that, frankly. And it's great, the away fans take over again. They're still like going, United, and then start olaying all the passes that we're kind of stringing together, 4-0 down. Had to have a bit of a chuckle at that one. 3 minutes extra time played. Not really much comes of it. There's a bit of goal mouth action at both ends, but it's easily takes by the keepers. And that's it. Game over. So 4-0 away. Shit result. So final stats. Quite surprising on the possession, actually. It was 47% to 53 to Newcastle. A lot of that would have been, as you say, Mark, going sideways, backwards, and then just hooking it from defence all the way back to their keeper. 8 to 12 shots in our favour, but 5 to 3 on target by Leicester, and scored 4 of them, obviously. 4 to 6 fouls against us, 4 to 6 corners in our favour, and 9 to 16 fouls against us. All right, so man of the match, we'll have to kind of discuss man of the bloody match here. I'm going to go first because I don't want you to steal my thunder because I don't have another choice. So I reckon man of the match was the collective of the away fans. They were just fantastic the whole game. they can see there was some effort in that game. You can't just say there was no effort and we just sort of sat back and got stuffed. We did make a bit of an effort. We did make a bit of a go of it, especially at the start of the first half. Were it not for a bit more quality, we probably would have got somewhere in this game, especially considering that Leicester were, bereft with injuries and sicknesses and gone, as well as Vardy, for example, was on the bench, didn't even get a look in. And they can see the effort, I think. They know we don't have the quality. And I think more than anything else, they're just happy we haven't got Ashley and Bruce to deal with anymore. And they were just happy. They were, aren't we all? And they were just singing non-stop throughout the entire game. So my man of the match is to our away fans. Fantastic by them. What about you?
Yeah, it's a tough call. There was, as you said, plenty of effort by the players. I don't think anyone can take that away from them. Just not enough quality on the ball by too few people like doing anything worthwhile. So, you could try and pull St. Maximin out for man of the match, but it didn't really do anything with the ball. Had a couple of flashes, and I've seen people on social media saying, St. Maximin was crap. He hasn't done anything. He worked his heart out for that club today, yesterday, this morning. He worked hard. He did everything he needed to for the team. Got very little support, as we said before, but again, didn't really have the end product. The defense was all a little bit shaky here, there, and everywhere. But I did think Manquillo was probably one of our most consistent players for the day. Got forward when he could, helped out, didn't really look too shaky at the back. I'd probably say Manquillo for me if it was a player that I had to pick, because he was the only one that I thought actually looked to try and get up and down the pitch and didn't make any complete catastrophic mistakes.
Well, it is,
and that's pretty bad if literally picking a man of the match because he didn't have an utter howler in him.
Well, he did do that step up and cock up the offside.
Yeah, that's harsh though, because that was a good pass. That was a good ball through. He's done the right thing to try and get him offside. It hasn't worked out. Probably should have had some defensive help behind him, to be honest with you. But those things are going to happen. I think that was probably the only thing that he got wrong for the whole game. Didn't really do anything going forward, but no one else did either. But yeah, it's hard to pull a proper man of the match out when no one's really had a sight on goal or done anything completely worthwhile. I think everyone's kind of made a mistake here and there. Yeah, tough call. I think you've done the safe option with the crowd because they were fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't really think of anybody else, frankly, and they were just brilliant the whole time. So I definitely took the easier option there. All right, so Manquillo's yours, fair enough. I'm going to bring up the league table now. Let's see where we are. So we are still second bottom. Goal difference keeping us off rock bottom. Goal difference took a bit of a pounding, obviously. 4 goals added, no reply. Yeah, so we're still 3 points behind Watford. Burnley have a game to play. They could get themselves out of it and bring Watford into the relegation zone. How are you looking at that table right now, Mark? I mean, obviously we felt all pretty good after Burnley, but it doesn't look so good now, especially when we've got Liverpool and Man City and Man United yet to come.
I think as we were all saying in that run of 3 games where we had 3 games at home against sort of teams in and around where we are, I think we all wanted more points from that, and it's proven that we probably needed them. That does not make happy reading. That goal difference sort of may come in handy towards the end of the season. So getting hammered 4-0, and that's without the next 3 games. We could be in some serious trouble. I mean, the only good thing for us is the fact that teams just above us aren't picking up points either. All the results went our way at the weekend, but. Yeah, look, I mean, look, we're 1 game off safety at the moment, goal difference aside. Two games and we're up at like 15th. So, it's not all doom and gloom as long as the other results keep going our way, and we can get some quality in January, because we need some quality desperately, especially in this. I know everyone's focused on midfield, on defense, but for me, midfield is probably one of the key areas. We need to be able to hold on to that ball more. We can't keep giving the ball away in key areas of the pitch and expect to climb out of that. But that does not look for pleasant reading, unfortunately.
No, it does not. And of course, if Burnley wins, we are then 4 points clear of safety rather than 3.
Yes.
All right, so that's the end of our review. Bit of a fast one this time around because we don't really want to talk about it too much because it sucked. All the good work from Burnley has kind of evaporated a little bit from that. It'll be interesting to see what Eddie Howe does for the Liverpool game, which is next. And we might as well do a quick preview of Liverpool. Mark, just getting honked by Leicester, and now we're going to play Liverpool. So I'm going to say it's going to be shit and we're going to lose. What's your prediction?
I think the word tonking comes to mind. I can see us getting absolutely hammered. I think that goal difference, if we're still kind of ahead of Norwich on goal difference after that game, I'll be happy.
So what's yours? Let's do a score prediction at least.
I'm thinking if we play, look, I mean, to be honest, we didn't play all that badly against Leicester at times. We just seemed to get cut open at key moments. Few decisions went against us, went Leicester's way. But, Liverpool are a class above Leicester at the moment. Leicester have been struggling. They had loads of players out. You've got to think that an in-form and on their game Liverpool is going to be a hard nut to crack. So I'm kind of thinking potentially 4-5-0 again.
Yeah, I was thinking 4-0 as well, actually. Yeah, it's going to be an absolute shitter. Anything you want to say about the Leicester game or the Liverpool game just before we wrap up?
It's just hard watching at the moment when we know we're desperate for some reinforcements in January, but we need to kind of get there and we need to do our best and, not let our heads drop, kind of still keep that goodwill going. I think the fans are understanding. I think the fans are behind them. And I think, as you said, the fans were fantastic. The away fans at Leicester were in full voice for the entire game, even at 4-0 down. So the fans can't be held responsible. We're not giving up, but it's got to sort of turn a corner at some stage. It's hard watching those sorts of games where we get just completely dominated at points that are key moments in games, and we just let massive leads build up for the opposition.
And it doesn't help when the referees are shafting us at every opportunity. I'm just going to say that one more time. All right. Thanks, Mark, for your time. Thank you for watching at home or listening on your podcast. You can get more content from us at tuneunder.com, and you can see us on all the social channels at tuneunder.pod. And all right, so thanks very much. Cheers, Mark. And let's look forward to another spanking in a few days at the hands of Liverpool. Can't bloody wait. Cheers, Mark.
Cheers.